Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Just Another Yapper. Today, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, and this will be a spoiler review. So I won't get into every single detail as I don't have all the clips from the movie with me. But we are going to go into spoilers, so if you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it. It is, $2.5 billion is, I believe, what it's on track for at the box office. So it's nice to know that cinema is not going anywhere anytime soon. Now, your physical copies of that cinema are probably going places, but that's another issue for another day. This movie picks up 4 years after No Way Home with Peter Parker completely alone. And as this movie was getting closer and closer, I was not sure how they were going to approach this. I didn't know if Doctor Strange would somehow be involved because he may know who Peter was, and it's just weird. Like everyone knows Spider-Man helped, whether it's with the Avengers or whatnot, but they don't know who he is. Like, how are they going to make that work? But everyone still knows Spider-Man, so I like the direction. Peter fully commits himself to being Spider-Man. He's older, more experienced, and arguably better at the job than he's ever been. But he's really still dealing with the consequences of No Way Home. He sees MJ moving on with her life, and he can't reconnect with Ned and her. And he's basically sacrificed his entire personal life to protect everyone else, which it's kind of what he wanted, to keep them safe, because he was causing their lives to be a lot more difficult in No Way Home. So as we get moving, things get crazier as Peter's powers start to change, and you'll see as a clip I'm about to show.
What is happening to me?
And then he gets caught up with Jean Grey and Damage Control and the Hulk, and of course the Punisher, which is where we'll start off.
I'm Spider-Man.
The hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering. Suit yourself.
Their dynamic together it played a lot better than I thought it was going to play. I was expecting them to nerf him a lot, and I really feel like they stayed true to the Punisher character without dropping a bunch of F-bombs, because it's a Spider-Man movie, which kids will see. So, but also him webbing his mouth shut before he curses, him still, having all the weapons he has, and just his attitude. I just think it played great alongside of Spider-Man throughout the film. But they're obviously two different types of heroes. Peter wants to save everybody, and Frank wants to make sure the bad guys never get another chance. So as the film keeps going, it really brings out some funny moments. One with Chili, if you haven't seen it yet, or if you've seen it and are watching this, you know Frank makes chili for MJ and Peter, and then at the very end of the movie, let's just say Punisher was also Spider-Man for a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about Jean Grey, played by Sadie Sink. But I really enjoyed what they did with Jean. I think it was the worst kept secret that Marvel has had for a while as far as who Sadie Sink was going to be playing in this movie. I think just the biggest thing everyone was wondering was, how are we going to get X-Men into our Marvel universe finally? And I'm glad they really didn't over-explain it or overthink it. They just kind of said who she was and showed us her background a little bit, and with her sister getting essentially kidnapped right in front of her, which we'll get into in a little bit. But how they show Jean jumping from person to person to escape Spider-Man at the beginning was a sick way to show that Peter was dealing with a major threat, especially that he could sense it, but she could not go through him, or I guess travel through him. So really neat stuff. And then as we get going, or as we're moving forward into the story, you see Dr. Banner talking with Peter Parker, who he doesn't know, about his suppressed gadget that keeps Savage Hulk away. Now, we haven't seen Savage Hulk in years. I want to say really since Thor Ragnarok and then the beginning of Infinity War, when Thanos goes crazy on him, which that was a debate of what should have happened there anyway. But it's just been years since we've seen him, and I think this was a major payoff and win for the fans. We've been waiting to see him for how long? But I think the movie did him justice with making sure he didn't completely take over the movie and or kill Spider-Man, because I didn't want it to be super easy for Peter Parker. But so I think they did just enough to show. But I wish one thing they did change was him going back to his human form, Dr. Banner form. I know they've kind of did this already with Age of Ultron, and then him flying on the jet as Hulk away from everybody. But if he were to leave the scene and stayed or vanish again as Savage Hulk, or at least it been a mystery for the fans to be waiting on, I think it would have been a nice what's the word I'm looking for? Cliffhanger. There we go. But as we get back to Jean, she's really more of an antagonist than a traditional villain in this movie. Come to find out, you start to see the DODC are really the villains who kidnapped her sister and are trying to really just control all enhanced humans. And played brilliantly by Severance actor Tremel Tillman. I don't have that pulled up, so I may mess that up, but love him in Severance, and I think he kills it here too. So, but as we get more of her backstory, Peter eventually realizes that she is someone he needs to defeat, or isn't somebody he needs to defeat, but she's somebody he needs to save, and that's what makes Peter Spider-Man, essentially. Even when he's dealing with his own problems, he wants to save everybody else or put himself in danger for somebody else, and that's exactly what happens in the final act of the film, when Peter sacrifices himself to protect Jean. But the story doesn't end there. Let me go back. Punisher ends up putting that bullet, which was heading towards Jean, and he ends up putting it right into Spider-Man. So that was a huge, huge moment. So let me not gloss over that, because that was huge. And I really thought there was a chance that maybe this is it for Tom Holland, and as him as Spider-Man, and maybe they're going to eventually move into a Miles Morales type role after Secret Wars is done, and kind of pass the mantle on Spider-Man. So I think that'll still happen eventually, just not yet. I don't think he's done yet. So, but as we continue, going back to the MJ situation, and with her not recognizing him at all, is just, it's heartbreaking for him, because at the end of No Way Home, she's wanting him to go find her and explain the whole thing, and hopefully, they'll get back together and everything. But Peter at that time in that movie, just gets the cup of coffee and kind of just holds to himself. And maybe it's just because he knew he was just destructive for her. But then just how Jean was able to take over MJ's body, and it was just a weird, off that rooftop, just a weird or unsettling scene where Peter ends up kissing MJ, and she's just telling him she doesn't love him, and there's no memories of Peter at all inside of her head. It was just very eerie to see and deal with. and I just like how they just didn't immediately put them back together. I just think it holds true to No Way Home and just the promise of what that movie, that spell said. Like if they were just to change it all of a sudden and everyone's kumbaya again, if you watch that movie, those movies back to back, you're gonna think, well, what the heck the point was of No Way Home just to get Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man. So, and to finish this video up, because I could not finish it up yesterday, I'm gonna be in a different shirt. So here we are. But my really final review of this, essentially that was a recap of the film. I think it works great with the characters that are involved, and I do believe that Peter Parker will be in Doomsday, even though he's not on the cast that has been announced yet. I just think he's too big of a draw, especially after losing some of the original Avengers. I just think he's too big of a draw to not have him in this movie, and I think they set that up with Yelena and Peter Parker talking in this movie, and that she could essentially use him to, or he could use her as the contact to get into the Avengers and to help them in any way that he could. So that's just my prediction as far as how he'll be utilized. Definitely will be in Secret Wars. Gosh, Stranger Things. Going backwards here. Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be in Secret Wars with Toby, Andrew. It's going to be a massive movie. But the end credit scene as well, I think I've heard some people talk about it being involved with Secret Wars, and maybe that's Toby or Andrew Garfield, or who knows. But I think still that it's our Peter Parker, Tom Holland, going with Yelena with the new Avengers somewhere to fight Doom or do some sort of mission in Avengers Doomsday. But yeah, this movie works for me. I think Spider-Man movies are just so hard to top each other just because they're all pretty good. I'd say the weakest one is certainly Far From Home. Just because you're coming off that high of Endgame, and it's just doesn't hit the same. I mean, it was I watched it in theaters. It was fun, but I didn't leave that movie like, oh my god, this is a amazing movie. So, and this one I thoroughly enjoyed. I like I mentioned, I still want to go see it in IMAX again, and this time just to really just enjoy and see for little things that I missed the first time watching. But Jean's character, Sadie Sink, I think works great. I'm excited for her future in the X-Men. And I wasn't big into the X-Men growing up as a kid, so I am familiar with the characters, like who they are and their powers and stuff. But I wasn't huge into those movies, so I'm looking forward to seeing this adaptation of the X-Men, and they seem to be all relatively younger, so it'll be nice to see them grow into their roles over the years. But yeah, I would definitely go see this again. I think it's a good movie. I don't have like a number system or anything. I really should pull up my letterbox. But that's for another day. But let me know what you guys thought about the movie as a whole. Some of your favorite moments, or just what didn't work for you at times. I enjoyed the comedy with it's comedy, but Punisher was hilarious the whole movie. Him talking about the making chili, and then as soon as they get inside, he's like, "Don't touch that chili." Just his delivery. John Bernthal does a good job in that Punisher role. MJ Zendaya kills it. I mean, the whole cast did a great job. Even the chief of police, I forgot her name. She's from The Bear. Love her. She was phenomenal in the role too. Just a fun back and forth little relationship with Tom and her, and him ultimately getting to know the names of her kids, which is a little joke throughout the movie. So, but I'm very satisfied with it. I'm looking forward to Avengers Doomsday and Vision Quest. I think is the next show coming out from Marvel. So, but we'll see. Looks like the next episode will probably be more of just kind of a news cycle of what's going on. I know they made some announcements at Comic-Con. I know House of the Dragon just ended, so we could touch on that. I will put up a spoiler for any big spoilers that I talk about, so no one gets it ruined. But thank you so much for being here, and let's keep on yapping.